Hello learners, in this lecture we will see how to perform the compaction factor test. So by the name itself it's understood it's something related to compaction, right? So we'll see how it goes. So compaction factor test is more efficient and precise in determining the workability as compared to the slump test, right? Because there are two demerits in the slump test what we have seen. It cannot measure very high workability and it cannot measure very low workability. That is for a very dry or let us say stiff concrete, the slump test is not to be used. The second is that this test is most suitable for concrete mixes of very low workability, which generally compacted by the vibration. We have seen this, right? This is what our point of discussion is all about. The third is that this test is primarily designed to test the workability of the concrete mix in the lab, but it also can be used at the sites. But most of the time in the site, we try to make use of slump test only. This test is specially performed in the lab itself. Yeah. So how it has to be performed? So this is how a compaction factor. I mean, this is how the instrument is going to look. So we'll be having two hoppers here. Let me go through this. Right. So this is a first hopper, this is a second hopper, and then you have a cylinder here, right? So this is how it looks, and if you want to write in terms of dimension you can try to do it in this way, right? So practically this is a kind of a instrument what we have in the lab to determine this compacting factor test. Now coming to the procedure part, we'll try to see how the procedure is all about. Yeah, so this is how it goes. Okay, anyhow I'll be explaining this a bit, then we'll try to see in the detail. So what we are supposed to do, we have to prepare the concrete like we prepared it for the slump test. Then we have to pour it here. Okay, we have to pour the concrete here, and then once it is poured, you have to try to remove this trap door. Then what will happen? Concrete is going to flow here, right? Then again from here you have to remove the trap door. Again the concrete is going to pour here. So once the concrete is poured in the cylinder, you have to weigh the cylinder. That's it, done. So after that, here you are not doing any compaction, there is a self compaction happening, you are not done external compaction with the help of a tamping rod. But in the second mix again you have to make use of the same concrete. Next what you're supposed to do, you have to fill in the cylinder directly in the cylinder you are going to fill the concrete. But when you try to fill it in the cylinder, you're going to fill it in the layers, and then you're going to do the compaction. Let us say in the first layer you have filled, you're going to do the compaction for 25 times. Second layer you're going to fill, again you're going to do the compaction for 25 times. Then again you're going to do the, again you're going to fill it in the layer, and again you're going to do the compaction. So here what you're going, here you're going to do the full compaction, that is here you're actually doing the compaction, right? So in the first case you are not done the compaction, there is a self compaction, that means concrete itself was able to do the compaction. So finally when we try to write the answer, we try to write from partially compaction how much value I've got, what is the weight, divided by the compaction what you've done in the cylinder. If you try to take the ratio of that, whatever ratio you're going to get, that will tell me what is the compaction factor test for this. And with reference to that, we can try to say what is the workability of this, right? So now put it in a point wise, we'll see how it has to be performed. I've given you an overall idea. Aim to determine the workability of a given concrete mix by compacting factor test. Apparatus required is compacting factor test apparatus. We require a tamping rod, a trowel, a tray, and the etc. Coming to the theory, this test is most precise and sensitive than slump test and is particularly useful for concrete mixes of low workability which are normally used. Concrete is insensitive to the slump test. The test works on the principle of determining the degree compaction achieved by standard amount of work done by allowing the concrete to fall through a standard height. The degree of compaction is a compacting factor, and it is measured by the density ratio, the ratio of density actually achieved by the test to the density of the same concrete when it is fully compacted. Whatever I explained, they put it in form of a theory. Coming to the procedure part, so this is how it looks. Okay, to begin with, a sample of concrete is to be tested and it is filled in the upper hopper. You're going to fill the, yeah, you're going to fill the concrete in the upper hopper here in this way, right? Yeah, without giving any compaction, you're not doing any compaction, directly you're going to fill. The door of the upper hopper is open so that the concrete will fill into the lower. So once you fill everything, there is a door here, you have to try to take it out. So as a result of that, what will happen, all your concrete will try to fall from here and it will be collected in the lower hopper. So the door of the lower hopper is open and the concrete is allowed to fall in the cylinder. After that, what you're going to do, again you're going to remove this door. So as a result of that, what will happen, whatever concrete we have in the lower hopper, it will be it will be falling into the cylinder, and the excess amount of that you have to try to strike it out, right? Excess concrete is removed from above the top level of the cylinder. All the sets of cylinder are clean, and weight of the partially compacted concrete is found out. Very simple. So once you allow it to fall, most of the concrete will be filled in the cylinder. Excess amount you take it out, clean the cylinder completely from the outside, and then you have to weigh the concrete what is there in the cylinder, right? So that's it. Then the fourth point is concrete is filled in four layers. Next what you're going to do, next you have to take the same concrete, then you have to try to fill the concrete into the cylinder direct. This is done. This is one. Once this is done, you have to take the weight of the cylinder and the concrete. That is done. You have to note it down. Now after that, whatever concrete you have here, no, the same concrete you have to take, and you have to fill it in the cylinder, but this time you have to fill it in the four layers with well compaction, and the weight of the fully compacted concrete is found out. That means you're going to fill it here in one layer, do the compaction, I mean with the help of a tamping rod. Then again fill it in the second layer, do the compaction with the help of a tamping rod, third layer and fourth layer, and then you try to weigh this again, right? So the compacting factor is worked out by taking the ratio of the partially compacted concrete. What is partially compacted concrete? The concrete which you allowed to fall through this hopper, that was my partially compacted, because I had not done anything compaction there. But concrete has certain ability to do the compaction, hence it is called as partially compacted. To the fully compacted, fully compacted is that when we added it in four layers, I had done enough tamping here. So as a result of that is a compaction. You have to weigh that. If you take the ratio of that, you're going to get the answer for that, right? So this is the entire procedure of my compaction factor test. Now coming to the observation part, quickly you can try to, these things you'll get from the lab, and also these are the standard dimensions what we have. Upper hopper, the top diameter is 25.4 centimeter, bottom diameter is this much, height is this much. Lower hopper, the top diameter is this much, bottom is this much, internal height is this much. It's understood. I'm telling the diameter of the top, the bottom and the height. Okay, top, bottom and the height, and these things I've written it here. Coming to the cylinder, the internal diameter of the cylinder is 15.2 centimeter. The internal diameter of this cylinder what you have, it is 15.2 centimeter, and the height of the cylinder is 300 centimeter. Distance between the, this is all just observation what you have to write. Distance between the bottom hopper and the top of upper hopper is 20.3, and distance between the bottom hopper and the top of cylinder is 20.3. That means he's explaining us what is his height from here to here, what is the height, from here to here what is height, that height is 20.3, 20.3, right? These things will be given, you don't have to remember them. Yeah. Now coming to the calculation, that's it. So first you have to weigh the container, and we already weighed this container. If I go back, this container already, that is a cylinder, I already weighed it, and it has found that it is 13 kg. So first weight of partially compacted concrete, I'll take W1, and it is 25 kg. I have to measure it. Okay. Then weight of fully compacted concrete, W2 is 26.5, and obviously always remember the weight of fully compacted concrete will be more in comparison to the partially compacted concrete, because in fully compacted concrete whatever voids you have, you have done the tamping, as a result of that the voids will get less, whereas in partially compacted there will be more voids. Since there is more voids, the weight is going to come down. So that is the difference what you can see here. Now coming to the compacting factor, it's very simple. W1 by W2, that means weight of partially compacted, you divide it by fully compacted. 25 divided by 26.5 will give me 0.94. So this 0.94 is my compacting factor. Now what conclusion I can draw from this 0.94, we'll try to see that. Coming to the result, it's written the compacting factor of the given sample of concrete is 0.95. So compacting factor is used to measure the workability of the concrete mix having very low water cement ratio. Hence the compacting factor of 0.94, which shows that degree of compaction is more, because 0.94, it's the maximum how much it can be. One thing you need to remember, how do you say that 0.94 is more? Maximum you can have one, right? Let us say your partially compacted concrete is, you got weight has 26.5. Okay, this is a hypothetical case, it's never possible. And weight of fully compacted is also 26.5. So 26.5 plus 26.5 will become 1. That means compacting factor will become 1, but it is practically never achievable unless you are using a self compacting concrete, but we never do that. So it can be close to 1. That is why you can see 0.94, 0.95, 0.96. So this is almost close to 1. So hence we can consider this as to be more. That is the degree of compaction is more, right? Now according to Indian standards and certain guidelines, you can try to understand this. Okay, whenever you try to write in exam, you can try to write down this formula. That is the compaction factor is weight of partially compacted concrete divided by weight of fully compacted concrete, right? And this is how you try to classify that. So if you're getting a compaction factor of 0.85, that means your workability is low. If you're getting a compaction factor of 0.92, that means you're having a medium workability. If you're getting a compaction factor of 0.95, then you are having a good workability. And if you're getting it greater than 0.95, you're having a very high workability. So according to our answer, we got it as 0.94, right? So that means what kind of workability I'm having in this particular concrete. So 0.95 94 lies in at this, it is within 0.95, so I'm having a good workability. So with the help of a compaction factor test, I can tell what kind of workability I'm getting, right? Other than that, again, this is the other thing what you can find. Okay, so if you're having a very low workability, then the slump will be 0 to 25. In that case, your compaction factor will be 0.78. So this concrete you can use for road pavements and all. Okay, when we prepare the concrete road and all, right, there we try to keep the workability very low, and the slump can be in between 0 to 25, and the compaction factor we have to get somewhere close to 0.78. If you have a low workability, slump can be kept in between 25 to 50, and corresponding to that, you should have a compaction factor of 0.85, which we use for the foundation concreting and all. If you want to have a medium workability, the slump can be in between 25 to 100, and corresponding to that, the compaction factor has to be 0.92, and you can make use of this in reinforced concrete, anything, maybe in the foundation, a column, wherever RCC work is going on, you can try to use it. If you're having a workability very high, then the slump will be somewhere close to 100 to 175. In that case, your compaction factor has to be 0.95. Again, it's written here reinforced concrete, especially high reinforcement. Whenever we have more reinforcement in the column and all, like I mentioned in the previous case, when there's more congestion of the bar, in that case we try to go with a high workability. As a result of that, the compaction factor is going to be somewhere close to 0.95. Yeah, so now this is what we have understood. So, and there is one thing that we need to understand again. Okay, so after that, see, up to this year it's okay. Okay, let us say, I'll give me a minute, I'll try to draw a small table here. I'm pausing for a while. Yeah, so I've written this compaction factor here and a slump here. Okay, we'll try to understand this. There's one demerit in the compaction factor test. So let us say my compaction factor is 0.10, corresponding to that my slump is 25. Good. Similarly, if you see the next one, there the compaction factor is 0.85, and corresponding to that the slump I'm getting 50. It's 0.975. 0.92 is a compaction factor, I'm getting 100. 0.95 I'm getting 150, and for 0.96 I'm getting a slump of 200. So what do you observe here? Look at the pattern. So here there is an increase of 25 mm slump, right? From zero point 0.8 to 0.85, when it goes, there is an increase of slump from 25 to 50. So from 0.85 to zero point 0.9, when it goes, there is an increase of slump of around how much? Again 25 mm. From zero point 0.9 to 0.92, again there is an increase in the slump of 25. So now what has happened? From zero point 0.9, it has gone increased by only 0.2, that is 0.92, but there is an increase of 25 mm in the slump. Now from zero point 0.9 to 0.95, there is an increase of 0.3, from zero point 0.9 to 0.95, but there is an increase in the slump of 150. But now from 0.95 to 0.96, there is only increase of 0.1. But look at the increase in the slump here. Again, it is increased by 50 mm. Now again, if I go with the next value, let us say I'll put here as 0.965, the compaction factor, and corresponding to the slump I'm getting, let us say 250. So what is the trend that you're observing? As your compaction factor is increasing up to here, now from 0.96 to 0.966, 0.965, the compaction factor has been increased only by 0.05. But look at the tremendous increase in the slump, that is from 200 to 250, it is increasing. Now let us say again your compaction factor is 0.97. Okay, now here the slump is somewhere close to 300, or let us say 310. So what is happening? Whenever we have very high workability, then my compaction factor will not be in a position to tell me what exactly is the slump that I should get, right? There is no clear idea, right? See, Up to here it was good. From 0.92 it was okay, but here it is 0.96. The moment it went to 0.965, the compaction factor has increased by, just by look, what I'm trying to tell is, just by looking at the compaction factor value, we cannot come to a conclusion that what is the slump. That means, let us say, so 0.96 is, I'm getting 200. So if if the for 0.96 compaction factor, the slump is 200. And for 0.965, since it has increased by 0.05, what we can think, okay, since it is 0, it has increased by 0.05, so the slump maybe from 200, it might be somewhere close to 210. But practically what has happened here, the practical slump has increased by 50 that is, has the compaction factor increases, what is going to happen, we are not in a position to get a clear idea about the slump that we are supposed to get. So that is why there is one demerit of this test, that is, compaction factor test is not suitable for very high workable concrete. And you can see it here, right? Because when you go for above zero point 0.9, zero point 0.9, 0.95, 0.96, even though compaction factor is increasing by very small margin, but there is a very huge variation in the slump value. So that is why compaction factor test is not suitable for very high workable concrete. So for that we have other tests. We'll try to see which are those tests that we can do. Okay, so this is all about the compaction factor test. This is one demerit of that. Other than that, the other things, like you can measure a very stiff concrete from here, and it is used for other medium workability and all, right? Yeah, I hope the basic understanding is clear. We'll see you back in the next lecture. Thank you.